Okay, so Alhamdulillah. So this would be the compression class. No, Bismillah, this will be the compression class. So what we are going to do here, the vocals from our previous class is here. So basically what compression is all about is that compression is used to um uniform the dynamic range of our vocal. Dynamic range in the sense that while we are recording, sometimes our voice will be lower, sometimes our voice will be higher, and sometimes our mouth will be closer to the mic, and sometimes it will be far away from the mic. So that those intricacies would actually show inside the recording. I mean, in the final mix. But with the aid of the compressor, we'll be able to adjust it and make our vocal actually, like the whole of our vocal, be on the same volume level, on the same decibel level actually. So that's the job of our compressor. Our compressor is used to keep our vocals in the same dynamic range and also increase the volume of our vocals. In mixing, you can't just come and push up the volume of your vocals anyhow you like it. You have to use the compressor. So the reason we have to use the compressor is that during mixing, there's a particular level that our vocal must not pass. Let me play it. Look at it here. There are values here. So if you notice, the vocal is mainly about 12 and 9 here. Our vocal must not pass here. 0 decibel here. If our vocal pass this place, then it will start sounding like the speaker wants to burst or something like that. You understand? It will squash. It starts squashing the vocal and it would sound like the speaker want to burst or something like that. So that's why the vocal must not pass here. This is the highest level that vocals should be. So, and the vocal that is here, it is not supposed to be here. It is supposed to be somewhere around 3 and 0. That is how loud the vocal is supposed to be. You understand? Because while it is here, if you copy it to your phone or any other player that you want, you understand? You notice how low it is. No matter how much volume you put your phone or your device to, it will still be very, very low. So that is why the compressor is very, very important. If you just push up the volume here, you understand? And here too, it would pass 0. You can see it is passing 0, then that doesn't make sense. You understand? So that is why you can't do it like that. You have to use the compressor. The compressor is the only safe way to do that. So the compressor will push your volume to any amount that you want, but it will not pass 0 here. Do you understand? So that's why I'm going to bring the compressor here now. And before that, I want you to know that you are only the only reason your vocals is loud now. And the only reason the vocal is loud now is because you are using your headset or whatever device you are using. That is why the vocal is loud now. When you actually put it on loudspeaker, you will notice that it is not loud. So I'm going to bring the compressor here so that we can bring up the volume of our vocal. So then I'm going to bring the attack to about let me just bring the attack to about 300 or something. Let's bring it to about 320. So let's play
يا
it.
رب يا
You can.
معين دعاة الحياة في طريق نور
So you see,
بلادنا.
what the threshold means is that the threshold is like the starting point of compression. You understand? So I believe that all my vocals is above the threshold of 20 minus 20.1 decibels. Do you understand? I believe that all my vocals is above minus 20.1 decibels. So that is why I am putting my threshold at minus 20.1 decibels. Do you understand? So anything above minus 20.1 decibels, the compression would apply to it. Do you understand? So you see anything below minus 20.1 decibels would be noise, maybe wire noise or background noise or anything. So that is why I'm putting it to minus 20.1 decibels. Then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the attack to, you
يا
see,
رب يا
first of all, before I play it, the attack is like, it is like the activation of your compression. Do you understand? So the attack is the rate at which the compressor, the rate at which the compressor is working, like how fast the compressor is working. Do you understand? So anything above minus 20.1 decibels, this compressor at would attack. Let me say it would attack. You understand? At this speed, look at it. This is 50.1 milliseconds. And this is 0 milliseconds. Do you understand? So 0 milliseconds means that the compression will attack every time. Like it would attack every time. But if I put it at 12.9 milliseconds, it means it would attack every 12.9 milliseconds. Do you understand? So let me just put the attack at like 320 or something. Although we'll still tweak it. It depends on how it is sounding. You understand? At the end of everything. So ratio, let me put the ratio at 3.0, 3 ratio 1. For example, the original vocal is there. Now when you apply your compressor, the ratio would imply that the compressor would apply and it would give you result of 3 times what your original vocal is. Do you understand? 3 times what your original vocal is. So this compression type, I don't want add compression. I want it to be soft. I don't want the compression to be too much. Then the release, let me bring it to about 1002 or something. You understand? You see, most of these things, at the end of the day, what we want to achieve is the volume here and the dynamic range. You understand? The volume and the dynamic range. So this release is the time that your compression, the attack will stop. The attack is attacking at this particular time and it will release at this particular time. Do you understand? So when the attack, you see when the compression reaches a stage that okay, for example, let me show you an example. Look at this. So the settings, if the settings is that okay, anything above 20.1 decibel, the compression should attack. Immediately the compression notice that okay, 20.1 decibel, 22.5 milliseconds after it notice that there's a vocal above 20.1 decibel, the compression will attack. And 1211 milliseconds after it attacks, the compression would release. Do you understand? That is just what it is. So, and the ratio of the compression, it will be 3 times all these values here. Do you understand? 3 times all these values here. So I'm going to bring the gain up. I'm going to bring the gain to about. Okay, let's start like this. Let me play it, and we would monitor the volume aspect from on the master here. This is the master. The master means everything here would show in the master. So let me play it, and then we can listen.
يا رب يا
You can see
معين
it here.
دعاة
After all the settings
الحياة
here, it is still
في
here.
طريق
So I'm
نور
going to bring the gain up.
نمضي
It has to reach
بالسلام
about 0 decibels. No matter where I bring the gain
وبالصبر
to, actually,
ونحفظ
it would be
الحرف
below 0 decibels because I've applied
ولكن
a compressor.
في
Do you understand? So this
أشراري
threshold here,
كلام
So let me bring
يمكرون
the what's called up. You
يمكرون
can see the volume is coming up,
ضد
yet it is not going above
بلادنا
0 decibels. You understand? So let me just leave it at
يمطرون
12.5.
نارا
So now
يمطرون
it is loud enough.
يا رب يا
You understand? Now it is
معين
loud enough.
دعاة الحياة في طريق نور نمضي بالسلام
So it is loud enough now. So you can
ونحفظ
tweak
الحرف
our
ولكن
what's called
في
our
أشرار
values
كلام
here and see how it sounds. Let me bring
يمكرون
the ratio up.
يمكرون ضد بلادنا ضد بلادنا يمطرون نارا يمطرون يا رب يا معين دعاة الحياة
I think it is
في
sharper
طريق
here. It is
نور
sharp. It is very very sharp
نمضي
here.
بالسلام
But when I read it here, it is somehow
وبالصبر
soft here to it. So that's
ونحفظ
why I used to keep the
الحرف
ratio low actually.
ولكن في
So the attack.
أشرار كلام يمكرون يمكرون ضد بلادنا ضد بلادنا يمطرون نارا يمطرون
Now, if you notice,
يا رب
when I
يا
brought the attack to
معين
0 milliseconds,
دعاة
0 milliseconds, look at
الحياة
it. The
في
volume, the vocal
طريق
is not passing this
نور
space. It's not
نمضي
passing this space.
بالسلام
So I need to bring it to, I need to
وبالصبر
bring it up so that it can,
ونحفظ الحرف
till when it starts reaching around
ولكن
0.
في الأشرار كلام يمكرون يمكرون ضد بلادنا ضد بلادنا
Now, it is reaching about 0 now.
يمطرون
So the release as well.
نارا يمطرون يا رب يا
If you
معين
notice,
دعاة
when the release is
الحياة
up, if you
في
notice, it is
طريق
staying up here
نور
a lot.
نمضي
They said until I
بالسلام
stop, that is when it comes down.
وبالصبر
So let me bring the release
ونحفظ
down.
الحرف
You can see that now
ولكن
it is not
في
staying up too much.
أشرار
It is
كلام
coming down immediately. It reach up. It is coming.
يمكرون
You can see it's releasing it immediately.
يمكرون
So it doesn't stick
ضد
to this particular line. It doesn't
بلادنا
stick to it too
ضد
much. The release.
بلادنا
Let me bring the release down.
يمطرون
You can see.
نارا يمطرون يا رب يا
So let me just put
معين
the release to
دعاة
about 1K or something.
الحياة في طريق
Then
نور
you can tweak the
نمضي
gain as much as you like
بالسلام
or the threshold. But
وبالصبر
if
ونحفظ
you notice, there's
الحرف
so much noise under it now.
ولكن في
If you are using your earpiece or something, you
كلام
notice there's noise under it. So that is why it is advisable to bring the threshold to something around 21.
ضد بلادنا ضد
So there's not much noise under it.
بلادنا
Now,
يمطرون
that is all about the compressor.
نارا
If I switch off the
يمطرون
compressor, you can see it is very low.
يا رب يا
If I bring it up,
معين
the
دعاة
volume, the vocal is
الحياة
loud.
في
If you want more volume, you
طريق
can just
نور
come here,
نمضي بالسلام
bring the gain up.
وبالصبر
Can you see? But you can see it's
ونحفظ
clipping too
الحرف
much. Although it is not passing 0, but it
ولكن
is clipping too much.
في
So you don't want it to clip.
أشرار كلام
That's why about 12 is okay.
يمكرون
12 or 13 is okay. You can see it's not clipping that much.
بلادنا ضد
Look at it clipping.
بلادنا
If you want to adjust, if you don't want it to clip, you can tweak the release and stuff like this.
يا رب يا معين دعاة
Look at
الحياة
the release now.
في طريق نور
It's still clipping.
نمضي بالسلام
Now,
وبالصبر ونحفظ الحرف ولكن في الأشرار كلام يمكرون يمكرون ضد بلادنا ضد بلادنا
so at the end of the day,
يمطرون
it is all about the
نارا
gain.
يمطرون يا رب يا معين دعاة الحياة في
Let me
طريق
bring
نور
this back to about
نمضي بالسلام
1002.
وبالصبر
So
ونحفظ
let me bring
الحرف ولكن في الأشرار كلام
yeah.
يمكرون
So see this.
يمكرون
it is
دي
nice like this. This is the kind of
بلادنا
settings you
دي
want with your
بلادنا
compressor. You can save the settings. You can just come here,
يمطرنا نار
save presets as,
يمطرنا
then you can name
يا
it
رب
anything you
يا
want and save
معين
it.
دعاة
So whenever you come back
الحياة
to your FLstudio, you just
في
select the settings
طريق
and you put it there.
نور
It's as simple as that.
نمضي
But if the
بالسلام
vocals we are doing requires much more
وبالصبر
settings, so you can just come here and
ونحفظ
tweak these things.
الحرف
But I would advise you to always leave this here.
ولكن في
Do you understand?
الأشرار
So
كلام
the next thing on
يمكرون
our agenda is not most times. Let me just first of all let me choose the EQ we're going to use. So we're going to use parametric EQ2. Parametric EQ2. So this one, the reason I'm choosing parametric EQ2 is that there are other EQs. Well, this has a graph. You can just edit it with this graph. Just tweak the graph anyhow you want. Tweak the graph anyhow you want. Tweak it anyhow you want. So it depends on what you want to achieve with your EQ. You understand? But the first thing that you have to do, first of all, is try to cut out your low end. You don't want your vocal to sound muddy. So cut it out. Bring it out to about 100 or something. And you can see the way it is. You want to cut it out. You don't want this place to remain. So come here and turn your mouse. See, look at it now. Look at this. But it is not that sharp. So come here. You know, it was this one I was tweaking before. When you come on this place and you roll your mouse, that particular ball that is on your mouse, you need it, so you roll it. Now, come here. There's this particular dot here, like this. So roll your mouse on it too. Then it will become very sharp. Like you can see it now. It is very sharp. When the dot here is like 4, so it is very sharp now. So you can easily come here and move it. So put it to about 100. Now let's play it.
يا رب يا معين دعاة الحياة في طريق نور نمضي
Let me switch
بالسلام
it off and see how it sounds.
وبالصبر ونحفظ
You can see there's a lot of
الحرف
bass in it.
ولكن
You
في
can see there's not much bass.
الأشرار كلام
So you want to roll that part off. But it depends on the kind of mic you are using. For example, for my kind of mic, my mic is like a treble mic. So it means my mic doesn't register much bass, doesn't register a lot of bass while recording. You understand? So that is why I don't used to take away a lot of my bass. You understand? I don't used to take away a lot of my bass. So I still leave some parts. So that's why I'll turn this place. I'll turn this. I want it. So I still want some part of my bass.
يمكرون ديد بلادنا ديد بلادنا
So it depends on how it's sounding. Do you understand? Everything at the end of the day, it is not about the technical aspect of it. It is about how it sounds to you, how it sounds in your ear. Do you understand? So we'll just listen to it and tweak anything you want. Do you understand? So you can just hold it, bring it up. You can see the bass is much now. Bring it down. Although I always want to cut off this part, this sub part. So I like it like this. Then I can come here and cut that part off.
يا رب يا معين دعاة الحياة
Now look at it.
في طريق نور
The vocal is sounding
نمضي
a lot more
بالسلام
cleaner now.
وبالصبر
You see, bass is like
ونحفظ
dirt,
الحرف
DIRT sometimes on vocals.
ولكن
You understand?
في الأشرار
But if it is
كلام
on maybe kick drum and stuff like that, those ones doesn't really matter. You need bass for those ones. But on vocals, bass is like that. So you can just move it around till you are satisfied. I'm satisfied here. You can move it here if you like. Depends on whatever you want to get. You can see now, I've cut everything from the bass, sub bass, mid, low mid, cut everything. It is now only the high part. This is the high part now. You understand now? This is only the bass without the mid and the high and the treble.
بلادنا
So I can just reset. If you right click, it
يمطرنا
will bring
نار
this. So reset. So I'm going to bring my
يا
what's
رب
called here.
يا معين دعاة
Then we
الحياة
can start
في
tweaking the rest.
طريق
It depends on
نور
what you want to achieve.
نمضي بالسلام
Depends on what you want to achieve.
وبالصبر ونحفظ الحرف ولكن
But most of the time, what I
في
do is that
الأشرار
there's a
كلام
preset here that I like to use for
يمكرون
my mic. For my mic,
يمكرون
you can see it. If you right click here, you see it.
ببلادنا
Vocal presence.
ببلادنا
I like
يمطرون
vocal presence. But before I apply
نار
vocal presence,
يمطرون
what I used to do,
يا رب
this particular
يا
mic I'm using, this is not
معين دعاة
the normal mic for recording.
الحياة
So this is
في
like the normal
طريق
mic
نور
for talking while doing video.
نمضي
So if I want to use
بالسلام
this mic to record, what I do is
وبالصبر
I will right click here,
ونحفظ
then I'll
الحرف
select radio.
ولكن في الأشرار
So
كلام
radio will take away the low end
يمكرون
and the high end. It will only boost the
يمكرون
mid. You understand? Then I will reduce the
ببلادنا
value here. If you want to reduce the value, you can see
ببلادنا
you can reduce the value here and increase the value.
يمطرون
So if you want to reduce the
نار
value, just hold
يمطرون
your mic and your
يا
mouse
رب
and
يا
bring it down. So I will bring it
معين
down
دعاة
somewhere around here.
الحياة في طريق
If I take
نور
it off, you see how it sounds.
نمضي بالسلام
You can see it.
وبالصبر
It's sounding harsh, but when I put the
ونحفظ الحرف
radio,
ولكن
you can see it's not
في
sounding harsh anymore.
أشرار
Then I will come here and
كلام
take bring another
يمكرون
compressor in. I said
يمكرون
compressor, another EQ in. Then right
ببلادنا
click and put vocal
ببلادنا
presence. Now look at it.
يمطرون نار
I like the way it is sounding. Like this is the
يمطرون
way I like my
يا
vocal to
رب
sound.
يا معين دعاة الحياة في طريق نور
Now it is
نمضي
clean this way.
بالسلام
You understand? So if you want more compression, you can add more compression. If you want
ونحفظ
more
الحرف
tuning, you can add more tuning. You can bring the
ولكن
tuning up.
في الأشرار كلام
This tuning is too much.
يمكرون يمكرون ببلادنا
So 7 is 8. So let's just leave it there.
يمطرون
So after that, that is all about EQ.
يا رب يا
So
معين
if we actually want to go much more deeper in
طريق
on the EQ,
نور
do you understand?
نمضي
So you can just
بالسلام وبالصبر
we are going to do that in the advanced
ونحفظ
class in
الحرف
you understand? Like
ولكن
that in the advanced
في
class I would explain
الأشرار
like the intricacies
كلام
of the EQ and stuff like that. But
يمكرون
I don't think you need it. All you need is just to know how to use the EQ
ببلادنا
to cut the
ببلادنا
frequency you don't want and the frequencies that you want.
يمطرون
This is
نار
it.
يمطرون يا
So it
رب
depends on
يا
what you want. You
معين
understand? So you can just
دعاة
come here to the EQ and
الحياة
start playing with it.
في
Boost
طريق
any part you want
نور نمضي بالسلام
and see how it sounds. And if you like it, you
وبالصبر
can leave it in your vocal.
ونحفظ
You understand? If you like it, you can leave
الحرف
it in your vocal. If you don't like it, you can take it
ولكن
off.
في
So just hold it
الأشرار
and move it around.
كلام
Move it up, move it around.
يمكرون يمكرون
So it depends on what you like.
ببلادنا
This is the preset here, vocal presence. I like it like this. Then the next thing is saturation. Saturation. Most of the time, I don't use saturation, but for the sake of this tutorial, I would use saturation.
وبالصبر ونحفظ الحرف ولكن في الأشرار كلام يمكرون
So for the sake of this tutorial, I will use saturation. So the saturation I'm going to use sound goodizer. We call it sound goodizer. It's too loud, so you can reduce it here. Hold it and pull it down. So you can select any preset you want, anyone that you like.
وبالصبر ونحفظ الحرف ولكن في الأشرار كلام
So what I do most of the time is that I'll use three saturations. So the three, no, I'll use four. Sorry, I'll use four of all these four settings. But at the end of the day, it is actually too loud. Do you understand? So I'll just have
يا
to
رب يا
adjust the volume here or
معين
just take the saturation
دعاة
off. But personally, I
الحياة
don't
في
use saturation.
طريق
But for the sake of
نور
this tutorial, that
نمضي
is the first one. I'll add
بالسلام
sound gradizer again. B,
وبالصبر
I'll reduce it to 4. If you
ونحفظ
notice, I'm reducing it
الحرف
to 4 points here.
ولكن في الأشرار
Another one,
كلام
C.
يمكرون يمكرون ضد بلادنا ضد بلادنا
I'll bring it down to 4
يمطرون
again.
نارا يمطرون
You can see now.
يا رب يا معين
So
دعاة
if it's too
الحياة
loud, you can just bring it
في
down here.
طريق نور
But don't touch the
نمضي
compressor. Leave the compressor
بالسلام
alone. You understand? You can just bring the volume down.
وبالصبر
Don't use this to bring up the
ونحفظ
volume,
الحرف
but you can use it to bring down the volume. If you use
ولكن
it to bring up the volume,
في
it is bad.
الأشرار
But if it is to bring down the volume,
كلام
it is okay. If you notice,
يمكرون
when I bring up the volume, you can see it is going
يمكرون
above 0.
ضد
Do you understand? So don't use it to bring up the
بلادنا
volume.
ضد بلادنا
You can use it to bring down the volume.
يمطرون نارا يمطرون
So
يا رب يا
I like the volume
معين
at that
دعاة
particular what's called.
الحياة
You can bring it up a
في
little bit
طريق
so that it will be
نور
about.
نمضي بالسلام
Hmm.
وبالصبر ونحفظ الحرف ولكن في الأشرار كلام
Then
يمكرون
you can bring in, and the next thing on the agenda is, the next thing on the scheme is
ضد
delay,
بلادنا
delay.
يمطرون
So select
نارا
here
يمطرون
and bring in your fruity delay
يا رب
2.
يا معين دعاة الحياة
Now that is what the
في
delay does.
طريق
Do you understand? That
نور
is
نمضي
basically what the delay does.
بالسلام
So
وبالصبر
here, come here to the
ونحفظ
presets here.
الحرف
I would advise you to use the
ولكن
presets, because
في
if you start
الأشرار
tweaking this,
كلام يمكرون
I would advise you to use the presets, because if you start tweaking this, you will not understand. Wabi is in tweak here. If you start tweaking it, you will not understand. Do you understand? So I would advise you to use the presets. There is a good preset here. So I'll use stereo effect actually. You see, there are several effects that you can use the delay for. Do you understand? But we can't cover it in this beginner aspect of the tutorial. Do you understand? So we would have to talk about that in the advanced aspect of the tutorial. So for this beginner aspect, we are going to use the presets. So we can actually tweak some parts of this what's called in the presets. So I'm going to choose stereo effects, this first stereo effect here. Then let's listen to it.
يا رب يا معين دعاة الحياة
So the first thing you want to do is come here, this volume here, bring it down,
نمضي
bring it to something
بالسلام
around here.
وبالصبر
So this ping pong, it means
ونحفظ ولكن
the delay would be playing at your
كلام
left and right. It will be ping ponging from your left to right, left to right, left to right ears. You understand? So I'm going to, if you want a normal one, it will be in the middle. Just choose normal. So it will be in the middle. But I don't like the one in the middle. This one invert. So if you like it, but I like the ping pong. I like it going in both ears. Then there is time here, there is OFS, all these things. It is in the advanced class actually. So the delay is still much, a little bit. Just come here, hold it and bring it down. Bring it somewhere around, bring it to the middle here. So it's okay like this. If you want more, you can actually add more. Do you understand? Then the next thing on the scheme is the reverb. So come here and choose fruity reverb 2. Fruity reverb 2. So at the end of the day, fruity reverb 2. That's just it. So the default setting on the fruity reverb, this is how it looks like. The default setting is okay on the fruity reverb. Do you understand? The default setting is okay, but there are other settings here. If you right click here, then you see cathedral, drum room, large, or small studio, venue, and other stuff. So let's just choose those ones and see how it sounds. Let's start with the default. So let me delete it first. The default is not the same thing as the one that would be, the settings that will be there immediately you open it. The one I used to use, this is one I used to use. Immediately I open it, the automatic setting that is there, this is it. I won't touch it. But if I need more reverb, I can just come here, tweak it, or add more. But if I need more, like for there's different kind of scenarios. Maybe you want a dreamy vocal, you want your vocal to sound dreamy or something like that, then you can tweak these things here. This ER, this wet and stuff like that. But I can't explain what they do here actually. You understand? So that would be in the advanced class actually. Well, what I just wanted to know is that the default setting is okay for your main vocals. You know, the other ones is for the background vocals and other aspects of other vocals that you might want to have. Do you understand? So I'll just choose the reverb, the default setting here, and leave it like that. You understand? So let's try to listen to the default settings, the cathedral, the large or drum roll and stuff like that, and see how it sounds. You understand? But I think the saturation, I will take the saturation off because the saturation is not good for the type of vocals we are trying to achieve. You see, in pop vocals, pop music, the people that make pop music actually they use saturation a lot. So you can use saturation, add more saturation to it, and it would give you a better sound. You understand? But for the kind of vocals we're trying to achieve, we don't need saturation. So that is why I'm taking the saturation off. Do you understand? So although we can talk more about this saturation, but not here, not in this tutorial. You understand? So I'm going to take the saturation off so that I can have just the clear vocals that we have here. But you know what the saturation does already. You can just play with the saturation on your PC. Just try to play with the saturation and see what you can achieve with the saturation. So there is several aspects of compression as well. There is the fruity multiband compressor. This is it here. So for this, it works as an EQ and as a compressor because here you see it is mainly for pop vocals actually. So you can compress each aspect of the vocal. You can compress the low end, the mid, and the high end. You understand? So if you compress the bass, it will give you a different kind of compression. It will give you a different kind of sound entirely. So, but that is not for this tutorial. So that I don't want this tutorial to be too long. Let me just delete it. So we do that in the advanced class, the evening light. So then yeah, let's just listen to this first. Let me delete this first and let's listen to it with the default setting. Yeah, let me bring this back. I actually reduced this because of the saturation. So let me bring it back to the normal level. So it's at the normal level already. So it's at the normal level already. So let's listen to it now. One, come back to one here. So let's listen to it first.
يا رب يا معين دعاة الحياة في طريق نور نمضي بالسلام وبالصابر ونحفظ الحرف ولكن في
So okay, so now after all these settings, before I start choosing different settings for the reverb, let me just add something else. I want to add this transient processor. I like adding transient processors to my vocals because it helps me to compress. You see, it compresses the low end. It will compress the low end, whereby there will not be much low end on it. I don't want to take the low end away from the and through the what's called. I don't want to take the low end away. I like the low end that I have. Do you understand? But I want it to be compressed a little bit. I don't want it to be that much prevalent. Do you understand? So I can't do it with the EQ. I can't do it with the EQ. I like my EQ settings. I like it like that. So that's why I use transient processor. Immediately you add the transient processor, the default setting that it will bring, immediately you add it, it is okay. There are other settings here in the preset here, but I don't like using it. I use some of them sometimes, but I like the default settings because it helps me to compress just the low end and leave the breathy part of the vocal. So let's listen to it now.
يا رب يا معين دعاة الحياة في طريق نور نمضي
You
بالسلام
can see it now. And for you the way you are going to know if your vocal is
وبالصابرين
good is there's
ونحفظ
not much
الحرف
red. If you notice, there's not much
ولكن
red
في
here. If you let me turn up the volume
الأشرار
here,
كلام
you can see there is red.
يمكرون
You can see there is red.
يمكرون
You can see there's red showing.
ضد بلادنا
That shows you that the
ضد
vocal is not good. Like
بلادنا
the mixing is not good. Just
يمطرون
reset it. You can see there's not much
نار
red here.
يمطرون يا رب يا
That is one of the ways you judge your
معين
vocals if
دعاة
if the mix is good or not.
الحياة
So
في
let's come here.
طريق
Now let's
نور
start selecting different
نمضي
settings for
بالسلام
the let me increase the delay a
وبالصابرين
little bit.
ونحفظ الحرف
Now let's start selecting different settings for our
ولكن
reverb.
في الأشرار كلام يمكرون يمكرون
This is cathedral.
ضد بلادنا ضد
You can
بلادنا
see the way it's sounding.
يمطرون
Let me select the default.
نار يمطرون يا رب يا معين دعاة
You can see
الحياة
the way it's sounding. I would advise
في
you to use your
طريق
earpiece
نور
while you doing
نمضي
this because
بالسلام
your earpiece or your headset is the only way you can
وبالصبر
actually
ونحفظ
get how
الحرف
much or know how
ولكن
this stuff is sounding
في
particularly. If you are using your
أشرار
loudspeaker, you don't know.
كلام يمكرون يمكرون
I see the default setting, so
ضد
I'm going to choose a drum room.
بلادنا ضد
The
بلادنا
drum room is kind
يمطرون
of dry a little bit,
نار يمطرون
so
يا رب
I'm not
يا
using drum room.
معين
I'm using
دعاة
large or.
الحياة في طريق نور نمضي بالسلام
Can see the way it's sounding.
وبالصابر
Small studio.
ونحفظ الحرف ولكن في الأشرار كلام
Can see the way small studio is sounding.
يمكرون
Then venue.
يمكرون ضد بلادنا ضد بلادنا يمطرون نار يمطرون يا رب يا معين دعاة الحياة في طريق نور نمضي بالسلام وبالصابرين
Now, so I'm going to
ونحفظ
go back to
الحرف
my default
ولكن
settings.
في الأشرار كلام
So let's just leave it at the default setting
يمكرون
here. So Alhamdulillah,
يمكرون
Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. That is
ضد
the
بلادنا ضد
Alhamdulillah. That is the end of the beginner tutorial. So if you want to mix your vocals, it depends on what sounds good to you and what you want. Do you understand? But you can use these settings that we showed in this tutorial. You can use them and you will have a very, very clean tutorial. Do you understand? So that is it about mixing of audios, recording and mixing of audios. So you can reach out to me. You can reach out to me if you want to continue with the advanced class. But this beginner tutorial is enough for you to mix your vocals. You understand? So if you want the advanced tutorial, then you can reach out to me and can get started with that as well. But Alhamdulillah, this would be where we will stop our beginner tutorial on FLstudio on mixing vocals actually. So